All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mastering CMMC with Risk Cognizance. Thank you for joining us. I have a couple of crackerjack compliance specialists on the line with me today. I got Dean Carlton over in England and Jeffrey Walker down in Jamaica. And they're going to walk you through getting your cyber maturity model certification set up with Risk Cognizance. Dean, take it away.
Brilliant. Thanks for the intro, Fred. So yeah, as mentioned, my name's Dean. I'm based in the UK and I look after elements within the sales process with Risk Cognizance globally. So we're today going to be talking about CMMC and what we'll do is we'll run through kind of where the platform sits, what you're looking for within CMMC and compliance, and then we're going to give you a nice sneaky peek of the platform itself. Fred's going to look after any questions, so please do feel free to use the chat, push through and ask anything as we go through. Jeffrey will be supporting on the call. I'll pass over to Jeff to make a quick introduction. He's on mute.
Oh man, that is pretty amazing. I've always known how to pull that one off. Hi everyone, definitely thank you for joining the CMMC Masterclass here. For a quick introduction, I'm the CEO and the founder of Risk Cognizance. Risk Cognizance is built to help organizations with compliance requirements. Dean will be driving through how we help CMMC, but we cover more than just CMMC from a platform perspective. So if you have other compliance, our tool set will be able to provide guidance and help you manage your controls from point A to point B. I'll pass it back over to Dean.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Jeff. So without further ado, what we'll do is I'll share my screen and we'll run through where we sit in regards to CMMC itself. So hopefully this all goes to plan and fingers crossed you can all see, yep, if by magic, just kind of where we sit within Risk Cognizance and CMMC compliance. So very brief overview. I'm sure if you're on the call today, you're going to be talking CMMC. You're going to be fairly familiar with kind of levels 1, 2, and 3 when it comes out in November this year. And being able to evidence and document that within CMMC is absolutely critical. Now, there's lots of platforms out there that you've probably seen. You may be doing it manually on that point, but this is critical as individuals, as contractors, as service providers within the sector to have the right platform. And this is where Risk Cognizance comes into play. So just a very high level in regards to breakdown with some of those figures that you see currently on the screen. So this is about return of investment achieved. So doing compliance, taking the time to do it, that's a real-time process. You need to make sure it's right and you need to make sure it's correct, especially when you're working within the DIB sector. So DOD, DOJ, critical that you're answering these questions right. We want to be ensured that you are fully ready for that CMMC. So 70% faster. So we're doing this at pace. We're making it easier for you. We're going to make that really work. And we're going to take that 80% less manual work piece. So throw away your spreadsheets, throw away your manual Word documents or email process. This is going to take you through that process. It's going to ensure that you can stay compliant to the assessment all the way through to the program. And at the end of the webinar, we're going to demo that within Risk Cognizance, and we're going to physically show you what that looks like. And then we've got 100% of those NIST 800-171 controls covered as well. So you've got the confidence that Risk Cognizance will take you along that journey. And it's critical to remember that we're not just a compliance platform. This is full audit prep. We've got 11 solutions within the platform, and we're taking that reduction in time, removing those blind spots, and identifying those risks for you. Jeffrey, anything you want to add, particularly on that one?
Definitely. So on top of just doing that, we're tied in with auditors that can help you along the way as well and get you to certification as soon as possible. Your auditor could be connected directly into the platform to support your activity, your CMMC activity from day one. So in case you want to bring in the auditor early or you have an internal auditor, we'll be able to support that as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So let's talk about one platform covering everything. So as mentioned, this isn't just about that automated evidence collection. We're applying things like attack surface management, multi-tenant architecture. So if you're a service provider, that's critical for you to manage those clients within the platform itself, each with individual logins. We're adding dark web monitoring, cloud security assessments, and then we're also looking at things like your policy and the framework side, coupled with third-party risk management and the vendor risk management controls. So we're taking all these elements, we're taking all these integrations, and we're integrated now with over 250 integrations, pulling that data into one platform, one area to really focus on that detail, evidencing all that detail of pulling in that data without having to log in, log out, copy, paste, email, all those kind of key areas. As Jeffrey mentioned, it's about audit control as well. So it's about you being able to evidence that information, being comfortable the information in the platform is there, and hopefully to a point where you're not having to do a lot of that manual work. The system is taking that off your back and incorporating that in to how you assess yourself within CMMC. So you see on a couple of screens there, we talk about integrations with a couple of key critical tools, and that's just to highlight. We also talk about CMMC levels 1 and 2 and 3, but we're also looking at likes of FedRAMP or FAR or NIST SP 800-172. So there's many frameworks, and we're probably topping near 100 frameworks that you can incorporate within the platform in addition to that CMMC style as well. So just in the chat, everyone on the call, so just to kind of get a bit of an idea, are we at CMMC level 1? Are we at level 2? Or just if you just want to let us know, are you working towards level 3 towards the latter part of this year? So feel free, put that in the chat, and we'll have a look at that as well. Reviews, and critically, where do we sit within platforms and being you saying that I know I can trust that. So the key one there is Gartner. I'm sure you're all familiar with Gartner. I'm sure you're familiar with how they rate. So we are one of the top systems, solutions within this space. Go and have a look at Gartner. Go and look how we score. Have a look at the kind of the other areas. We're also compliant to likes of SOC, to ISO standards, to HIPAA standards, CMMC. So go and have a look. Do your double checking yourself. We actually want you to double check it because we know we sit there from a credibility perspective. We've got plenty of reviews, plenty of case studies, and we're working with some of the top companies globally within all areas and all forms of compliance. Anything you want to add, Jeffrey, just on that from a kind of a credibility perspective?
Definitely. As you mentioned, definitely we are also continuously doing AI efficacy rate to make sure that all our automated process support your compliance, and also to streamline your compliance as well from a trust center perspective. You have access to our trust center directly from our website. If you're an MSP, we also offer a trust center that you could customize for your to add to your website as well to support your client initiatives.
Brilliant. Yeah, and a critical one there to mention about Trust Center as well. So thanks on that side. So let's look at some of the big names then that we're working with. So we're proud to work with these companies, and I'll let you just have a look at this slide as we go through it. So some really big businesses, individual direct clients, individual contractors, as well as enterprise size clients and service providers. We cover all industries. We cover across those kind of areas by offering all those individual frameworks and structures. So critically, this is about CMMC, but if you're working as within building construction and you need to be that because you're working on a DoD contract, we've got you covered. If you're working in legal, we've got you covered. If we're working in finance, we've got you covered on that side. So when people will say, well, do you cover this and do you cover that? The answer is always going to be yes. There's an opportunity as well, just in the chat, do let us know what industry sectors that you're involved in, what you're looking for from a CMMC. Feel free to put that in the chat so we can have a review, and Fred can kind of answer back on those ones as well to make sure that we can cover those particular areas. Any particular partners, Jeffrey, that we think we should be letting everyone know about, or kind of highlighting in particular in regards to this slide? I take that as all of them. Yeah, absolute all of them. So as I say, have a look at that. We will be sharing information out afterwards from the presentation today as well. So you can have a look at who we do partner with currently. So let's look at some of those demands and breakdowns then as a kind of approach. There's some real highlight figures here. So let's take a couple of those. So as mentioned, we're covering all angles and all levels when it comes to CMMC. So if you're starting off, if you're a contractor and you need to be CMMC compliant, let's get you on that level 1. Let's get you through that process. Let's ensure that you make and start that journey. If you're more established and you're working through level 2, you may have been there already. You may have done some pre-work. It's an opportunity to pull that within the platform and work towards that. And as I say, we've got level 3 naturally towards the end of this year as well for those companies that need to particularly focus. Talk about cost. $4.9 million is the average cost of supply chain or and vendor compromise. So we're pulling that data. We're looking not only at you, we're looking at your vendors. That's critical. So that's a key part of CMMC to focus in on. So when you're looking at platforms, you may go, well, I'm absolutely fine. But if your vendors are the risk, you need to be aware. And this is where Risk Cognizance digital intelligence comes into play to ensure that we're monitoring your third parties and we're looking at your vendor risk and those kind of key areas as well. US defense contracts, obviously 300K there as well as a DoD estimate. So the size of the prize is absolutely huge. Everyone on this call, you're working with, if not knowing about how the size of that market is. So if you're in it, you'll know exactly those numbers. If you're working towards it and need to get within CMMC compliance, then this is the size of the prize for you. So remember, no CMMC certification means no new DoD contract awards or renewals from 2025 onwards. So it's critical you have this in play. This is not a nice to have, it's now a must have within this particular space. And spreadsheets, failed assessments, details, people are probably using that and say, hey, I can use that. I can use Claude and I can use ChatGPT to assist me. But it's still very much a manual process. When things update, and they will update, then you need to be aware, you need to be on top of it, you need to have it in one place. Plus, you need to have the security awareness when it comes to those critical areas as well. So just a quick slide on here, talking through the levels, and I'll leave this up just in a mo, just so you can have a review and see where they sit from how many controls sit within those areas. So if you've done level 1, only 17 practices and controls, but if you move into level 2, that jumps to 110. So you can see the workload expands. Now, if you're working with Risk Cognizance all the way through, then you'll be confident to say you've already started that journey and you're on your way. So when you get to level 2, no longer is that going to be a problem. You don't have to concern about updating it, looking at your new controls again. You've got a lot of information within those kind of key areas. And Jeff, is there anything that you think would be worth highlighting to everyone on the call in regards to the different levels and how Risk Cognizance structures?
Definitely. So just to answer Salomon's question in the Q&A, yes, you could do a level 2 self-assessment within our tool set. You could also then drive it to program. And also you could start your readiness for level 3 inside the system, but definitely you would have to complete your level 3 assessment outside of the system, since we are not level 3 yet. We're working on that, as Dean mentioned before. But you could also do your self-assessment against level 3 within the system, so you understand where you're coming up short. In regards to the levels, definitely we cover all of the controls per levels. You could do each level separately as you grow from one level to the other within the same single tenant as the client. And you can also look at where you are against different levels using what we call crosswalking, right? So if you're at level 1 and you want to see where you are at with level 2, you can use our crosswalking tool to take a look at that, and that will give you your scoring against each controls and so forth based on the policies that you have implemented. We also have policy drift, so you could tell the differential between the policies as well to identify the gaps between each compliance if you need to move to level 2. those are some of the items that we kind of would be able to fast track your process, reducing manual effort from one level to the other because you're using one single platform that support not only the controls, but the data set and the evidence that is provided against another.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jeff. And hopefully that answers, a couple of questions there in the chat as well. So just on some of the key areas that we mentioned. So these are what we cover within the platform. We mentioned right at the beginning, 11 tools in one. So I'll let you kind of have a read through on these and where this sits in regards to what that covers, how many different areas and critical parts of both the compliance level, about your journey when it comes to CMMC, but also why people will choose Risk Cognizance over and above doing this manually. So you can see on here about taking some automated documentation, and it's about ensuring that we use the latest in AI innovation within the platform that is taking data, pulling it into relevant controls, saving you the time to do that. If anybody here on the call has ever done that before, you know what a manual process and time-consuming process is as well. So Risk Cognizance, we're automating that. If we can make it manual, if we can make it automated, remove the manual part, then we'll make it automated as we work through on there. So just on the last slide before we get to demo the platform itself on that side, as mentioned, we do define as a security intelligence GRC solution. So what does that mean? Is that we've got the full vendor posture and security management control. We've got the attack surface, the cloud, the dark web. We've got ransomware risk scoring, and we've got the threat and risk POC structure and modeling within the platform. So again, critical key areas where we go over and above, and we're innovating within the GRC space. So if you need a tool, think about not what covers the basics, think about what it looks like now versus what it's going to look like in the future. Before we move on to the platform, is there anything, Jeff, that you wanted to cover at all on there?
You're muted, Jeffrey.
Definitely. So thank you, guys. Definitely, kind of like you mentioned, one of the key things that we're doing differently from other platforms is really ensure that you remain compliant, right? We don't want you to be out of compliance. And that's where really our threat intelligence come into play, or risk remediation, automation come into play. If something change in your environment, we're understanding that it changed. We're updating you. We're notifying you that it changed. The last thing we want to know is that you get a fine because you did just check the box with one of those other tools, which was the reason why CMMC started. Companies were just checking the box during the self-assessment, and when there's an actual audit, even though they were good at the time when they checked the box, things fall out of place. Maybe your engineer went and changed something on the back end that you didn't know. Our tool set is able to monitor that and provide and flag and create the risk against the compliance when they happen, not next year, not when you're going for compliance or wait until the auditor come around for you to find out, but when they happen, you'll have that risk inside your platform so you could work at it. And it just doesn't work towards compliance, but also work to prevent breaches against your infrastructure, and so that you're also keeping critical data if you're working with the government and sensitive data secure, right? Because then if there is a risk or vulnerability that is out there that you don't know about, you could actually see, based on what Dean provided before, based on the breach data, you could have a good understanding where, one, it could cause loss for you to lose your contracts, and then two, it also ruined the reputation of the organization overall as well. And the time and cost to recover the system would be the third, right? So definitely, it's not a win-win situation. It's a triple loss. So having a tool like this is to prevent losses of clients and also loss of resource and time as well.
Brilliant. So just conscious of the time, let's dive in to the platform to give you a sneak peek of what Risk Cognizance looks like in the real world. So you can see how you would run on that workflow within CMMC. So what we can see here is that once this loads, there you go. So we are now in the dashboard. We're looking at this. We're saying we've logged in. We're in Risk Cognizance. We want to run through our CMMC. So we've got the opportunity to go into our compliance and our compliance management. And as mentioned, we cover a vast amount of compliance frameworks, but we'd start a new compliance and we'd select our CMMC. So you can see level 1 and level 2 preloaded into the system. Once this comes up, it's going to bring us into our assessment area and our controls. As you can see, all the controls, and this is on a level 2, are laid out within their main control headers. And under each of those controls, you'll have access to those sub-controls. So as you can see here, 20 sub-controls. You've got the option to answer, yes, I'm compliant, and put your findings and relevant information. No, I'm not, and then put your response and your recommendations. Partially, it could be that you're still got some work to do, but you know you're going to highlight it. Not applicable because it's not applicable to your business, and I don't know. Yeah, so if you're not too sure, you can flag that. That highlights it to maybe someone supporting a VCSO or an external services company that are supporting you on that journey. It flags that on the report for you. But once that's completed, you'd run through that entire assessment. That's your gap analysis, your initial assessment control. And you can do that for level 1 and level 2 at numerous occasions. We then click and we go through to our program. So when we go through to our program, we're seeing slightly different. We're now in our main control program headers. We've still got our main controls, but you can now see a more detailed structure and breakdown when it comes to the score. And we can dive that into detail. We can then, as we go into each one of the main controls, we're diving into the sub-control. And then within the sub-control itself, then we're able to start looking at risk mitigation, start evidencing more detail, pulling data, reports, integrations for each of those sub-controls. And you can assign it to people, add tools. We've also got additional information within the control and actionable insights. It even gives you the idea of what documentation you need to approve and add to that. And then we can add things like project tasks, assign and update our risk register, and add any artifacts through integrations, through our inbuilt cloud library, or directly through cloud integration or through the platform itself. Now, the best bit is once we're completing that, we've got an updated score, we're seeing our insights, and we're producing a couple of reports. We're producing our program report. Now, this has everything that we've inputted into the system so far up to this point. So we've got our full breakdown of the controls. We can even allocate and assign budgets to each critical area. So if you're looking for money and you need to go to a budget meeting, you've got that in the report. And then for every sub-control, we've got that data. What documents, who we've assigned it to, what areas, what tools, recommendations, comments, which you can have as many as you like. It even gives you when and who did it and completed, the results and any tasks associated, and then any identified risks that have been flagged. Now, that's critical when we're flagging those risks because the other report we're building for you, no longer do you have to build your own risk register. We do it for you. So we take your score on a 4x4 with everything from a minimal through to catastrophic risk. And we're layering that and we're identifying those within each category area. This is pulling it directly from the initial assessment all the way through to the program and update. And you can go individually to each control and just kind of link through to on there. And not only do we make this with the information and giving you risk mitigation, we're giving you a nice visual scoring as well on that side. Now that's critical because every report within the platform, we enable you to not only print or share as a hyperlink or as a PDF, but we allow you to download that as a document or as a PowerPoint presentation. So if you are presenting to someone or you want to just look at the visuals, you can download the PowerPoint presentation and just take those particular assets. So you can, rather than copy and pasting or screenshotting, you have access to the platform in order to make that your own. So that's Risk Cognizance. That's a very brief overview. And what I would say, if that's piquing your interest or you want to find out more, then absolutely reach out to us. Do put in the comments or send us an email or contact us through the website or LinkedIn, and we'll be in contact and we can take you through a full platform demo.